How will history judge us? History is an invisible camera lens peering over all of culture. With all of our social and technological advancements, we're still arguing over civil rights issues. We claim we're a free nation. That freedom only seems to apply to the status quo. The crowd determines what freedom is based on what direction the current political wind is blowing. Hundreds of years from now, how will we be looked upon? A looming 100-year war? A country in an economic tailspin, slowly dragging the rest of the world down with it? And possibly a planet that is going to overheat. With all of that hanging over our heads, we are arguing over whether people of the same sex can get married. It seems quite trivial in the grand scheme of things. The keepers of traditional marriage spin ideology that distorts reality. For the progression of humanity at some level, there will still need to be a man and a woman. Fears that same-sex marriage will lead to the extinction of mankind are juvenile. How do we interpret a slim majority of judges making a decision? They lay laws on us making accepting a way of life. Would it matter if those laws gave the same rights to a group of people that are not in lock and step with the rest of society? Do we as a free society really want government legislating any part of our lives, or anyone else's lives? Those opposed to same-sex marriage claim people sued over personal beliefs, but the church is trying to overturn civil rights laws because of personal beliefs. It's good to know our culture has mastered hypocrisy at its finest. In the times we live, what does the Constitution have to do with anything at all?
To tell them you were an atheist, if you didn't have any trouble reading the oaths, why didn't you just shut up?
Asking a student to stay in the closet in order to...
Traditional marriage will not magically disappear into the sands of time if people of the same sex can marry. Straight people will still be bound by the laws and rules of traditional marriage. Some will point to the California Family Code Section 297.5 that grants the same rights to a domestic partnership as a married couple. Arguing semantics is what our culture does best. If the family code was enough, would this really be an issue at all? Separate but equal, they say. That was the same kind of rationalization that was used when African Americans were fighting for civil rights. But times have changed. Tying the African American community and the troubles they have faced is pointless, with the polls showing that African Americans are opposed to same-sex initiatives. Not wanting your kids taught certain topics is understandable. As Americans, we don't have much of a choice in those matters. One could really point to the philosophical follies of a socialized school system. The fear of kids learning about same-sex marriage is less of a problem than the real troubles the school system faces.
To be sure, lessons are
the
not
marginalized idea that same-sex marriage will be a key factor in school curriculums is not grounded in reality. The book in question, King and King, will not replace all of the great literary work throughout history. Kids will not hear the bell ring, leave math class, and sit down in gay marriage class. Why? Because learning about such topics in such an overreaching manner is not healthy to the developing mind. In the same way, there's not going to be a foot washing class or a curriculum based around how to properly use chopsticks. It's not vital to education. If the day comes when same-sex marriage is an acceptable part of American culture, students will learn about same-sex marriage in some degree, in the same way they currently learn about women's rights, the trials and tribulations of the African American community, and compassion for a mistreated minority. It is arguable this could be called social progress. It is how we find equilibrium with the culture around us. In California, the Yes on 8 campaign has said that it's about the children. Issues on civil rights and equality are really about the children. It's up to us to teach our kids how to accept others and not send them down a path of closed-mindedness. I ask you, what kind of people are these children going to grow up to be?